Welcome back. Nakhane, Unveiling the Unseen. Now, this poignant narrative threads together the fractured lives of those silenced, marginalized, and forgotten. Through the tapestry of human struggle, Nakhane exposes the harsh realities of gender-based violence, rape, homophobia, and other social injustices, illuminating the resilience of the human spirit and the quest for hope, healing, and transformation. Joining us now is the author of the book titled Nakhane, Abongile Ngqoleka. Plegas, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning to you too and the viewers at home, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's talk about the inspiration behind this book and the title, Nakhane. What's the significance of this title? And just take us through the book in its entirety.
The significance of the title is Nakhane. It is the character in the book, the main character of the book, and it's a female character of which the book evolves around her.
Yeah.
The lady called Nakhane. And
okay.
That's it.
What's this book about?
The inspiration behind this book was dedicated to my late sister, who was raped and killed back in 2016 by her then boyfriend. Yeah. So because of the pain and everything, and I realized that I'm not the only one going through this, I decided to pen this book down to make sure that I touch to all the issues that are happening currently in our country, not only in our country, but globally. Hence the first version of this book, it is written in English, but in the process of writing it, I had to make sure that I don't shy away from the content. Hence why I decided to write it in English and include 30% of Xhosa.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and speaking of content, let's delve deeper on the content. Yeah. What is it that you're trying to convey through the content you've written in this book?
You see, when you turn this book, a page after turning this book, you will find something. There's writing there. It says, if you read this book in 2070, just know that we're the saddest generation of our time. Finding love was the hardest thing to do. And those who found love, some of them lost their lives at the hands of the ones they love. The only difference was that we're an educated generation caught up in the shackles of poverty. That is the story of a black child. So the main aim was to make sure that we convey the story of a black child here in this book. Hence why we touch all these issues with gender-based violence, HIV and AIDS, being raised by a single parent, by a mother who's working as a street vendor, and everything. So we had to make sure that we tell the story of a black child, so that even if someone overseas reads this book, they'll get to have a glimpse of what really is the story of a black child. That is what all this book was about, sir.
And having said that, I do understand that you grew up as an orphan and
yes,
you grew up in an orphanage. So how did that aspect of your life shape you to be the human being that you are today and your outlook on life in its entirety?
Yes. I would say at some point it was painful when it was happening because I was still young and I did not understand what was happening. But now that I'm at this point of my life, I'm currently a degree holder and I'm doing my honors degree at University of Fort Hare.
Nice.
I have a book published and everything. My life is starting to make sense again apart from where I come from. So it really shaped me into being the human that I am, because after the orphanage, I didn't just go straight to university. I was working, doing all sorts of hard labor out there in the streets, from pushing trolleys, carrying bags to the taxi rank. I'm sure that you've seen other people doing those things. I was working for the foreign guys in the shops, working in the blockyard. So it shaped me into the human being that I am today. So at times I sit down and thank the Lord that everything happened to me, because if all those things hadn't happened, maybe I wouldn't be even where I am today. So it really shaped me. All my pain really shaped me into being the human being that I am today. And I thank God for all that.
What really pushed you, for your life to come together and taking shape the way that it has?
I didn't want to allow my situations to decide for me.
Yep.
I didn't want to allow my background to decide for me. Even when things were not making sense, I always told myself that if I just sit back and not do anything, I'll be one of those boys who you will hear people from the village saying that he was a very good kid at school, and now you can see where he's at. So I told myself that I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to push, because I know where I'm coming from. I'm coming from one of the hopeless backgrounds where I'm coming from. So I told myself, if I'm going to sit down and not do anything, I'm just going to die like this. So I have to make sure that I'm changing my story. So my story really pushed me into trying to make sure that I change everything in my life. Yeah. So being an orphan at an early age, it really pushed me, even though it was hard. But I told myself that, okay, it's fine, it has happened. I'm not going to bring my parents back. Let me just try to change my story. Because there's nothing much that I can do rather than changing my story. So my pain really pushed me.
Yeah, Abongile, and in terms of just gathering your thoughts together to come up with this book, how did you choose which social issues to address in this book?
When I wrote this book, I was in pain because of what happened to my sister. Yeah. But because of what happened to my sister, I realized that my sister is not the only one going through this. And these issues, they happen to everyone. And some of these issues, they are never spoken about. So I had to make sure that I speak about these issues just to be the voice of the voiceless. Because everything that I wrote about in this book, even if you were to read it now, maybe in the next coming few years, we'll hear people saying that it has happened. So when I was writing this book, I told myself that I'm not just writing for fun, but I want to write something that even after 50 years, when you find it there, people will still be able to read it and resonate with the content that is included here.
Yeah.
So.
And how did you address the intersectionality of some of the issues that you address in this book, such as rape, gender-based violence, homophobia? Like, how do those issues find expression in this book?
Those issues, like in our everyday life, we always hear people saying that someone was involved maybe in a gender-based violence case. But now, how do we make sure that we prevent these cases from happening? Because we always hear men posting campaigns and everything saying, stop gender-based violence, but it continues to happen. Now that it has happened, how do we address those issues? So that is how it was included there in the book. You cannot write and say men must stop this, women must stop doing this, because everything is still going to happen. But we had to make sure that we address in this book. We address it in a way that we decided to bring this character whose name is Nakhane. Just to take you back a little bit about Nakhane, this child was conceived through rape. Her mom was raped by her father, her biological father. So her Nakhane and her mom, they are not only mother and daughter, they are also sisters too. And they are not only sisters, but they also share the same HIV status too. Nakhane got the HIV from her mother, of which her mother got the HIV when she was raped by her father. So the man who is supposed to be Nakhane's grandfather is also Nakhane's father. So we will make sure that we tackle all those things, because these things, they start to happen at home. You don't have to look far for these things to go for them to happen. You don't have to go far. They always start here at home and they start to happen here at home, and it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. So I made sure that I address all these issues there. To make sure that I show all the impact. Now, okay, it has happened. What's going to be the outcome? How is it going to affect the society and everything?
Absolutely.
So,
You know, you just asked a question that has been asked for decades, and we still haven't found answers for. How do we address the issues of gender-based violence, of rape, of homophobia, and so on? I mean, how do we, like from your perspective, how do you think we should, and with the authenticity and the sensitivity that it deserves?
As much as this issue is very hard and touching, but we can never shy away from anything. The least we can do, people get arrested in many times, but they don't even spend time behind bars. They usually come out. So we have to make sure that we have to make sure that we intensify everything. And there should be measures that are drastical measures that are to be taken against people who commit these acts and everything. So we can never just say, okay, stop this, stop this. We can never only go and say, stop GBV, stop doing this, stop. No, we have to make sure that we come up with solutions to these things, because these things continue to happen. Each and every year, we always come together to host seminars and everything. But at the end, they always happen. So how do we come about, we stand together as men and make sure that these things no longer happen, the society as a whole? So that is why this book, it is here. When you read this book, you're going to find the answers to what you just asked, like the viewers at home. If they ever get a chance to read the book, they will find answers.
Where can they get a copy? Just in closing.
I'm a self-published author. Everything is done independently, even in distribution. So they can get me on, it's fine to leave my social handles. Yeah, as long as you're comfortable. They can search me on Facebook. It's Abongile Ngqoleka. Abongile Ngqoleka. Then my WhatsApp business number is 071 3303 734. 071 3303 734. So they can get hold of me. Then I'll be able to give them the books. All right. Abongile, lovely chatting to you, man. And this is such a brilliant read. And I know that whosoever will read it will draw so much inspiration. And they'll see themselves in some way in this book. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for having me too, sir. Thank you so much. Highly appreciate it. Well, we just talked to Abongile Ngqoleka, the author of the book titled Nakhane, that is rooted in tragedy, but its message is that of hope.